The detective closed the folder, and the handcuffs clicked. That's when my wife finally realized her plan had collapsed.
Victor handed me a small USB drive. "Traffic camera footage," he said quietly. The video showed Claire's car parked outside Martin Hale's office at 9:48 p.m., the same night I had been out of town in Denver. And when she stepped out of the building, Martin followed her, not as a lawyer, as something else entirely. I sat there staring at the screen. Everything suddenly made sense. The late phone calls, the new insurance policy, the quiet confidence in Claire's voice. By the time the video ended, one thought had settled into place inside my mind. I knew exactly what they were planning, and I knew exactly how patient I would need to be. For the next 4 weeks, my life became a quiet performance. I smiled at breakfast. I kissed Claire goodbye when I left for work. I asked about her day. Inside, I documented everything. Victor installed 2 small cameras in the garage and the study, legal in our state since I owned the property. I forwarded every insurance email to a private archive, and I hired a lawyer of my own, a quiet, methodical woman named Andrea Patel. When she reviewed the documents, her expression didn't change, but she said something that made the room go still. "Daniel, if someone intended to stage an accident, this policy would be extremely profitable." I nodded slowly. Claire noticed nothing. In fact, she seemed more relaxed than usual, more affectionate. Sometimes she even cooked dinner again, something she hadn't done in months. One night, she brought up the idea casually. "You work too hard," she said. "Maybe you should take some time off, a hiking trip or something." A hiking trip in the mountains. Remote, quiet, perfect for an accident. I smiled and told her I'd think about it. Meanwhile, Victor tracked Martin Hale's schedule. Phone records showed constant contact between them at 10:17 p.m. most nights, exactly the time I had first heard that whisper through the study door. The trap was almost ready. All we needed was proof of intent. And that moment arrived on September 9th at 10:17 p.m., exactly 1 month after I heard Claire say those words. The study camera recorded everything. Claire sat at the desk, phone on speaker. Martin's voice came through clearly. "Once the hiking trip happens," he said calmly, "the policy will process quickly." Claire laughed softly. "He still hasn't noticed anything." Then she said the line that ended everything. "After the fall, I'll call it an accident." Victor looked at me across the desk. "That's enough," he said quietly. The trap was ready. 2 weeks later, Claire stood beside me at the courthouse steps. She thought we were meeting an insurance representative to finalize paperwork before the trip. Instead, Detective Alvarez from the County Financial Crimes Unit stepped forward. Andrea Patel stood beside him, holding a folder. Claire smiled politely at first. Then the detective opened the folder. "Mrs. Mercer," he said calmly, "we'd like to ask you a few questions regarding an insurance policy change and a conspiracy to commit insurance fraud." Her smile cracked instantly. Martin Hale appeared seconds later, stepping out of the courthouse entrance. When he saw the detective, his face drained of color. The recordings were played inside the conference room. Claire tried to laugh at first. "This is ridiculous," she said. But when the audio reached the sentence about the hiking trip, her voice echoed through the speakers. "After the fall, I'll call it an accident." Silence filled the room. Claire looked at Martin. Martin looked at the floor. Then he made the mistake that destroyed both of them. "It was just talk," he said nervously. "Nobody actually planned to kill anyone."
The detective closed the folder. "Thank you," he said quietly. "That statement will be included in the report." Handcuffs clicked seconds later. Claire stared at me across the room. Shock, panic, realization. Her performance had ended, and the truth had finally arrived. The investigation took 4 months. The verdict took less than 2 hours. Insurance fraud, conspiracy, professional misconduct. Martin Hale lost his law license and his career. Claire lost everything else. Our house, our joint accounts, every asset she had tried to claim through the policy. The court ruled the insurance contract void due to criminal intent. And because the house had been purchased with my inheritance from my father, it remained mine. I still keep the small brass key from his desk in the same compartment of my briefcase. A week after the trial, I finally discovered what had opened: a small safety deposit box at his old bank. Inside was a simple letter, just one sentence written in his careful handwriting. "Trust people, Daniel, but always keep your eyes open." I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Some lessons arrive quietly. "He'll never see the insurance change," my wife whispered that night. She was right about one thing. I didn't see it when she filed the paperwork. I saw it later, when the truth was already moving toward the surface. Betrayal rarely explodes. Most of the time, it just whispers behind a closed door. And if you're patient enough to listen, the truth eventually finishes the sentence for you.